Hey, we're Aaron and Jennifer Smith with Marriage After God,
helping you cultivate an extraordinary marriage.
And today we're going to talk about how to make the most out of your family outings this summer. Hey, thanks for joining us this week. We just want to invite you, as usual, to subscribe to our channel so you get notified every time we upload a new episode.
Also, this week's episode is super exciting and fun, and we know that you guys have a lot of ideas about summer outings, so please feel free to leave comments of ideas in the comment section.
So this is one of those fun episodes we do. We've been trying to do fun episodes every so often. We do like biblical episode. And then
really heavy.
And then we want to do like a fun one. We did the date night one a couple episodes ago. And now we're talking about summer outings, summer family trips. And it's something, especially if you live in a place that has seasons, 4 seasons, where we have all 4 seasons. You know, we just came out of winter. It was snowing, cold, couldn't do anything much.
Everybody looks forward to the summer.
Yeah, everyone looks to the summer here. Or you live in California like we used to, and it's just summer every single day of the year.
Which is also exciting.
Which could also be exciting. But this is going to be just for those of you that during the summer you plan things, you do trips, you do beach trips, you do lake trips, you do mountain trips, you do hikes. Every summer we like to try and plan what we call an adventure day on Saturdays. And so it's on the calendar. It doesn't mean we know exactly what it's going to be every Saturday, but Saturday we do something. And some Saturdays we miss, something comes up, but for the most part it's on the calendar. Like we talked about in our dating episode, that when it's on the calendar, it's easier to, it's
make
harder.
Sure it happens.
Yeah, it's easier to make sure it happens. It's harder to miss than if it's not on the calendar and you're just trying to whimsically, this Saturday, let's do something. Versus it's on the calendar, you know that something's going to happen.
It forces us to kind of plan and prepare for it versus not think about it at all until the summer's gone and then you're like, oops.
Which we've had a few summers where we're like, what did we do that summer? We just worked and we did normal things. So that's our first tip, is just put it on the calendar. Maybe it's once a week, maybe it's once every other week, that you just know that you're going to do something as a family. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just a dedicated adventure day.
Yeah, sometimes we plan something that only takes an hour or two, and then other times it's literally all day. So it just depends on what we decide to do. But either way, it's really fun, and it helps our minds engage with our kids on what we are doing. Yeah.
It's also something that our kids get really excited about because they know it's coming. They know, hey, are we doing our adventure day today? What's the adventure? What are we going to do? And then they get really sad when we're like, actually,
it's yard work day.
We're working on the house today. But it's a good breakup of the summer, and our kids love it. And it's a tradition that we've started. So maybe you guys as a family could start that tradition as well. But we just want to talk about the value of planning outings and adventures with our families and how that could just benefit us spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Why don't you bring up some of the reasons why you love them?
I mean, just right off the bat, building memories, with you, with our children, and just knowing that they come back up so often throughout the year. Hey, remember when we did that? Or, hey, can we go do that again? It's just a fun way to engage with everyone at the same time. Whether, again, if it's something small or something really grand, it doesn't really matter what the thing is. Yeah. We're building memories together, and there are going to be things that either our kids will remember or our littlest ones will look back at pictures and say, oh, that looked really fun. I'm sure I had a great time.
No, they're going to remember them all.
But another thing that I really feel like doing these outings does for our family, at least, is we get to work together. I mean, it takes time to prep things. I mean, especially like we go on a camping trip every year, and in order to do that, there's a lot involved. We try and make sure the house is clean before we leave. We have to pack the car. We have to get food. Like, there's just a lot, and there's a lot of things involved in doing it, and a lot of different parts that people in our family can play. So I think just being able to say we're working together as a team to make this happen. Yeah,
and giving the kids chores to do, like, hey, you're going to pack the chairs. Hey, you're going to help me get the paper plates or whatever we're going to do. They can participate and prepare for the adventure instead of just participating in it, which is awesome. Another thing that it makes me think of is I actually used to be really bad at wanting to go do things because of how inconvenient it made me feel, or what'd you call it? I was a stick in the mud. Is that what it was?
I've used some terms.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about me, but I had a hard time, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one in marriages that watch us that struggles with the preparing and like this, going to the lake, then there's sunscreen and I gotta be sticky, and then like what are we gonna do about bathroom? What are we gonna be, when the kids are dirty, how are we gonna get back in the car? Then we gotta drive, and like what about, and when we think about all the the logistics of it, it would get me really overwhelmed and just think like it'd be easier just to not do it.
Yeah. The biggest one was going to the beach because I remember the sand was like, I don't want sand on me for weeks. I don't want it in the car, in the car seats. It was literally everywhere.
And what's funny is the kids literally don't care at all.
Yeah, they don't care.
There's just sand everywhere.
They love
it. So really what for me had to change was I had to realize it wasn't about me. In those times, that our family adventure days was about the family, not about my own comfort or things that I desired. And you know what's funny is like I always loved it when we were doing it.
Yeah.
It's just the thought process right before doing it that would hinder me. So just another tip for you guys is if any of you in the marriage are like that, don't let yourself get in the way of doing something awesome with your family, because your kids are going to remember like, oh, dad or mom never wanted to do anything.
Yeah.
But if you can step out of that, what you'll teach them instead is that actually they can get out of the way of themselves to benefit others and will enjoy it also.
And that there's going to be certain circumstances that are hard or are inconvenient or are messy, and that all of those things are okay. It adds to the flavor of life.
That's why we call it an adventure.
Yeah, that's why it's an adventure, because you don't know what kind of mess you're going to get into. So I think just having the mindset that you can and should embrace it.
Yeah. And I just keep going back to that date night episode that we did where the date night for us is like getting out of the ordinary, and it's like that romance. It's taking us out of the ordinary and taking a moment to be like, hey, this is, we're with each other. So the same with our adventure days is, there's the everyday thing, homeschool or school or, work and, all the things that just happen every single day and they kind of have to be routine. And then this adventure day, it's like, hey, we actually, all we have to do is focus on, being outdoors, being with each other, having fun, talking, doing something different and doing it together. So just having that mentality that this is the intention of it is to just get out of the day-to-day, get out of the ordinary and just spark adventure. So
another thing that I've noticed with adventure days is the conversations that come up because of it. When you're doing something new, you're exploring, whether you have little kids or older kids, I feel like everybody's engaged in whatever the mission is or whatever the fun activity is, and they ask a lot of questions. We come up with questions. We talk about hard marriage stuff sometimes, as our kids are walking ahead of us, and just
while they're distracted having fun, we have a good conversation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
one thing that I really love, it totally is, but one thing I really love is just the conversation that gets stirred up because you are doing something new or different. And
it highlights the creativity in us, and it brings out the emotions and the excitement, and it's a good atmosphere to do it in. Yeah. Which is gonna in a little bit we're gonna talk about some tips that are gonna help us get the most out of these adventure days, these outings as a family. But just understanding that we can use these times for spiritual growth, for emotional growth, for family strengthening and tying us closer together. Like you said, finding opportunities to teach our kids things. Like we're out and about and there's nature and there's birds and there's huge lakes and there's mountains and just saying, hey, well, look at this bug, and just stopping for a few minutes to look at a bug, which you probably wouldn't do on a normal day.
And talk about God's creativity.
Yeah, and talk about his creativity. And so looking forward to these days as more than just, I want to go relax, because oftentimes the adventure days aren't relaxing.
No, they take way more energy.
They're not vacations. So that getting out of the mentality of like, we're going to go have a relaxing day. That's not the intention. I think relaxing comes as a byproduct sometimes in the perfect scenario.
Especially when you bring your Kamek.
Yeah, but if you expect it to be just relaxing, you're going to miss out on exactly what it's for, and you actually might get frustrated. Yeah. Because you have the kids, and they have way more energy than you might have, and you might be doing something that actually is going to be hot and dirty and sweaty, or just out of the way and not easy. So it doesn't mean it's not good. It just doesn't. Our expectation of it should be bigger than just our own comfort, but for the actual well-being and excitement and fun and adventure of the family as a whole, right? Yeah.
So we wanted to just share some proverbs, some bits of wisdom as tips for you as you go into the summer season and you're preparing for these summer adventures with your family. And we just thought it would be fun to dive into some of these scriptures to just be an encouragement to you in some of those they can be sensitive situations where frustrations are starting to get stirred up. You're trying to leave and things aren't going the way as planned, or whatever.
Expectations are broken. Bickering starts.
Exactly. So we're going to start with Proverbs 17:14. It says, the beginning of strife is like letting out water, so quit before the quarrel breaks out. So this one just speaks to, when you feel that tension in your heart start to rise up because your little ones aren't obeying or doing what you've asked them to do.
Yeah, you can't find the tent that you're looking for or the...
Or sometimes, like me, you feel like you're doing a little bit more of the heavy lifting than your spouse, when really they are. You just have a skewed perspective because of all the work that you're doing. When you feel those tensions start to rise up in your heart, I feel like this is a great proverb, a bit of wisdom to just encourage us to say, hey, we need to stop that, and just be aware that we can easily get to a point of strife, but we don't have to.
So recognizing it when the bickering starts, like, hey, well, you're not going fast enough. Hey, can we actually get this going? And like when you start feeling the tensions rising and the words are getting a little sharper, stop it.
Yep.
It says, read it again. It says, the beginning of strife is like letting out of water. So imagine a bag of water and you poke a little hole in it and like water just start coming out. But imagine it more like a balloon. You poke a hole in it. If you get that hole just right, but it could like boom, and then all of a sudden you're in strife. So when you see the water start to trickle out, plug it.
Yeah. Say,
actually, we're not going to do that. Let's take a moment. Let's pray as a family. Let's get our hearts right and say, this is just going to be fun.
Yeah.
Some of the expectations, we're just going to let those go.
Because otherwise that strife is going to flow into whatever adventure you're trying to prepare and be really awesome for your family. And it's going to feel very burdensome.
Well, you'll turn the adventure into more of a nightmare.
Yeah.
The kids, you're yelling at the kids and you're yelling at each other. And like, I hate going out with everyone. Yeah. So when the moment you recognize the strife happening, to stop it immediately.
And don't justify your part in it by saying, well, I didn't start it or it's not my fault. You could still stop it. Even if you believe those things about yourself, you could still be the one that initiates the stopping.
Because it's a teamwork.
Yeah.
Right? Totally. You're realizing, okay, I'm going to shut up. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to move forward. I know that my wife's probably just like tired or whatever, or my husband's just needs a second, and we're going to get going and it's going to be good.
Yep.
We're going to do it for the sake of the kids.
So in order to do that, you have to have a bit of patience. So do you want to read the next proverb?
Which is Proverbs 19, verse 11. Good sense makes one slow to anger or patient, and it is his glory to overlook an offense. So, in the ESV, the slow to anger means essentially patience. It's like, I'm going to be patient with the things that are getting in the way of what I think should be happening. And I'm not going to get frustrated by it. I'm not going to get angry by it. This kind of ties in what we were just talking about. Yep. This is usually what leads to the strife, is you're being impatient, you're rushing, or things aren't happening exactly how you want it, when you want it, and in the way you want it. And so you get it builds up and you get angry and you're like, oh, okay, this is not how I want it. So just having good sense in the situation. And so the sense is like, you're aware and saying, you know what, this is going to be a fun day.
Yeah.
And whether we leave at 9:00, like I said, we were going to leave last night, or 9:45 or 10, I'm going to go with it. We're going to go with it as a family. If I see it coming up, I'm going to slow down and say, hey, let's take a break for a second. I feel like we're, elevating in our frustrations. Our patiences are getting short. Less work on becoming more patient. And you know what? When the husband and wife work on this, it's very visible to the children.
Oh, yeah.
And they see you either working terribly together to do something fun, or they see fun things as a fun thing. Like, oh, mom and dad, they actually figured out, like, it looks like they were getting frustrated, but they stopped. And we actually teach our kids how to do that.
Well, we teach our kids the other way too, because if we're in strife and we're not being patient, our children are just going to follow in that example, and then all of a sudden they're going to have attitudes. So it gets rough real fast.
We've seen that many a times. We've had many adventure days ruined because of our impatience with each other, our not being slow to anger, and just letting things get in the way. And then we see it in our kids, like you said. But the days that we're totally patient, even if our kids are tired or having a little attitude or whatever, it's usually so much like a percent of what it usually is when we're also that way. And they're actually like, they bounce really quick out of it. And we can easily, because we have patience, be patient with them and say, hey, we're having fun today. Let's change the way we're thinking about this.
Yep.
And they change. It's pretty amazing when we control ourselves and how they can control themselves. So what's the next?
Well, part of this is you're talking about self-control. So could you read Proverbs 15:1 about your words and just the impact that they can have?
So Proverbs 15:1 says, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So we went from, seeing strife before it came and stopping it, talking about patience and being slow to anger and just lowering our expectations and just being aware that it's a fun day and we can be relaxed and loose. But then what often happens is it's our words that triggers a lot of this. Like, you're not going fast enough. Hey, I asked for that 10 minutes ago. Why weren't you ready when I thought you should be, and just really like using those kind of cutting words to let the other person know, or our children know, that they're not living up to our expectation. They're getting in our way. They're not moving fast enough. They, do I ever do that?
Well, I was just going to say, in my Bible on this verse, I have a little note next to it. I don't know when I wrote it, but it says, I do this with Aaron.
Oh, do you? Oh, you do.
But I know this about myself, that especially in times of high stress where I feel like there is an expectation or that something needs to be happening on a certain time frame, and I've prepared myself and I feel like you haven't stuck to my time frame, that those kinds of words, manipulation and things like that start coming out. And so I'm very aware of that in my own heart, and I'm just being real with you guys. I'm just being honest so that that, if you do it too, you're not alone in it. But I do think it's an area of growth that we need to recognize and, again, be initiators in. We need to be willing to stop the moment we feel our hearts directed in that way and pull back. And even if we have to look at some of these scriptures before we actually prepare for our adventures, I think that could be a really powerful way to prepare your heart and mind for these adventures. Well,
that's a good bit of advice, actually, is reading through some scriptures of family, these verses, some
remind everyone,
let's get our minds in the right place.
Yeah.
And then praying as a family. Hey, God, be with us today. Put our minds in the right place.
That's good.
Help us to have good attitudes and be patient with each other. And that's an amazing way to start the day. We often, usually the morning goes rough, and then we're in the car driving, and we're like, we should pray as a family.
We're a little late. But
yeah, a little late. But we've gotten a little better. Sometimes we forget, but sometimes we don't. But just making sure that our words are good.
Yeah.
And a lot of these, and you'll probably attest to this, a lot of these things that come up, it's almost like every single time you're going to go do something fun as a family, it's like fights. It's like frustration.
Yeah.
Because we have this idea that today's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to have so much fun.
Guilty.
Everyone's so tired, and nothing's going to stop us from having fun. And if you get in my way of this,
don't get in my way.
Yeah. Totally and it's not just you. It's like the family has this kind of like expectation about the day versus just enjoying it.
Yeah.
Every part of it. The preparing, the going, the coming back, the being dirty, the doing the thing that you went to go do. But having that expectation of like, this day's better be good because I've been looking forward to it. And then that brings us to like the moment something gets in the way of that, it hurts our flesh.
Yeah.
And so just being very loose with that and just letting it be a fun day.
That's really good. That actually leads us into our last bit of advice and bit of wisdom from Proverbs, and it's found in 4:18. It says, "But the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day." And we this is an interesting like imagery that we have going on, but we picked it because we wanted to remind you guys that we shouldn't be so self-focused when it comes to these family outings, because not only like you're talking about each individual person having a specific expectation of the day being perfect, and all those expectations probably are different, right? But then there's other people who are going to be a part of the journey, people who you're walking past, people
the person
who you're engaging
that's
with.
Taking too long getting gas at the gas station.
And every single person matters, and so we need to be we need to remember that we can't be self-focused when it comes to these family adventures.
Yeah, and even as you're gonna, your family's gonna do this fun day, we still have a mission as a family. That's the whole reason we started Marriage After God, is because we believe that our marriages, our families, have a mission for the kingdom of heaven. And so if we just let all of those things in the morning, we're just fighting and irritated and bothered, and we're yelling at the kids, and it's ucky, right? And then we're waiting at the gas station, and we're just like, well, get the gas. Like, this guy's just in front of me. And like the world that we're encountering could be encountering the gospel, the good news, or they could be encountering something else.
Yeah.
And so recognizing that as a family, you're a light.
Yeah.
You're a light in this world, and wherever you go for that adventure day is part of the mission, because there's going to be other people there that went through the exact same thing that you went through and probably didn't do it as well, that don't have the hope of Christ, that don't have the Holy Spirit, that don't have the Word of God to help guide them. And then they're seeing you guys, and do you look just like them, and there's nothing exciting, there's nothing interesting about you, there's nothing that draws them in and says, why are they so different? Or are you, as a family, because you were walking in patience, and you were being careful with your words, and you were being careful with your expectations, and now you just have this lightness and this fun and you have this perspective as a family, like, hey, while we're out today, let's also find opportunities to love on someone, to invite someone to hang out with us, to talk to someone, to encourage someone, to help someone. And so instead of being so self-focused and being inward and just like, this is our day, and if it doesn't happen, and that's usually when we're like, ugh, recognizing that you have a ministry as a family. Even your kids, we tell our kids all the time, hey, we're going today. You guys are a witness. Yeah. The way you act, the way you are towards others is going to show people that you love them, is going to show people how we are as a family. And then you be a light, shining brighter and brighter.
And that also means that other people can interrupt your family outing, right? Because I actually struggle with this a lot, in that I have a specific expectation of how I want the day to go, and nobody can bump into that. But it happens all the time. And so again, holding loosely this family adventure or outing or whatever you guys have planned, and letting it be okay that God bring people into your family and into your life that are going to interrupt things, whether it's a conversation or you're helping someone get gas because their car's broken down on the side of the road. Whatever the situation is, just be mindful and submit it to the Lord, and make sure your hearts are yielded to His will, so that He can interrupt you if He wants to.
Yeah, and I would say even go further than that. Don't even just be okay with the interruption. Invite it. Yeah. Ask God to say, God, use our family today to be a light in the life of someone. Another family. Have our children be a light to other children. And so allowing these scheduled fun days to be intentional opportunities for mission work in the world. And so that was just our last tip in this idea of how to get the most out of our family outings this summer. We're going to be trying all these things, and I'm already thinking about when we plan these things, our adventures, that I have to remind myself of these things.
I think we should just print out this list and make sure we read through it as a family and pray before anything starts. I
like it. And then teach our kids to memorize those verses too. Exactly. So, hey, we just thank you for joining us this week, and we hope that this sparks awesome conversation with you and your family. And we'd love to hear from you of the kinds of things you guys are going to do this summer. Give us some tips, ideas of your own. And we'll see you next week. Did you enjoy today's show? Find many more encouraging stories and resources at marriageaftergod.com, and let us help you cultivate an extraordinary marriage.